Update 39 was just released and it brought some pretty big changes, and in this video I will cover all of them as fast as I can. Starting with the main attraction, the map editor is finally out and can now be unlocked at level 50 for 6k monkey money, and it has tons of different terrains, paths, props and more. And if you feel like there is something missing that you think should be added in the future, chances are NK are already planning on it, as they said they already have a long wish list for future updates to the editor, so expect more features and assets to be added to it later on. The map editor works on every platform, and you can also share your maps for others to play, although players need to be at least level 20 to play maps created by other players. And I'm really excited for this part of the update, and you can expect a separate video or maybe even a live stream on this later in the week. Next we have the new map Dark Path and the new skin for Etienne, both of which you can see on screen right now as I'm trying out the new map and skin for the very first time myself, and I have to say I really like them both. In terms of quests, we have 3 new ones: Drone Flying 101 and Oben's Gardening School for learning about these heroes, and then Grow Less Than Galaxily, which is there to teach you about the Least Heroes game mode. As usual, there are a bunch of new items in the trophy store, 5 new community made avatars and some extra assets that you can get for the map editor and more, and there are also some new team store items for conquested territories. For the game changes section, the boss penalty timer has been reworked and now also stops cash generating abilities from cooling down when gaining penalty. It will be pretty interesting to see what everybody thinks of this during the next week's boss event. Newer content is now available in conquested territories, and custom challenges now display the version they were verified in rather than uploaded, to help players know if the challenge might only be beatable in older updates. The update notes goes on to list all the features of the new map editor. If you would like to read through them all on your own, I will leave the link to the full notes in the description below. For the bug fixes section, a problem causing players to sometimes not be able to activate abilities has been fixed. I actually experienced this several times myself lately, and I thought it was my mouse that was starting to give up on me, as nothing was happening when I was trying to click abilities, so I'm glad that wasn't the case. Apart from this, there was also a few minor fixes that was made here and there, and you can read about it in detail on your own if you're interested. Under Challenge Editor and Quests, the progress is no longer reset to 0 if you choose to replay a quest, and there were also some fixes made to an existing quest. Under Event and Co-op changes, there has been a whole bunch of fixes to make sure all towers and paragons track damage correctly against bloons spawned by Bloonarius and against the shields of Phase and Red Bloon, as well as a whole bunch of other changes and fixes. We also got some minor fixes for the maps Skates, Water Park, Midnight Mansion and Dark Dungeons, and they also changed the maps displayed on the first page of the beginner's maps because they wanted to change up the colors. Okay. And here are all the tower specific bug fixes. There are quite a few of them, but I want to talk about the major 3. First of all, master double cross monkey knowledge that allows you to have 2 tier 5 bottom path dart monkeys no longer gives you a ton of extra powers, so you can no longer create a degree 30 dart paragon by just placing that extra tier 5. We will talk all about the other paragon changes later in the video. Secondly, the total transformation bug, also known as the quantum entanglement bug, has now been fixed. For those who still want to play with it, Doom Bubbles has created a mod that recreates this bug so you can play with it forever. Lastly, as many of you were very fast to point out in my Discord, temples can no longer generate cash in Chimps mode. And your initial reaction was not exactly positive, as expected. It is pretty sad that we didn't have time to finish a run using a Dora instead of a Sealy before this change was made. But it's not all bad. Even though I also would have liked to play some more Chimps mode late game before this update came out, I feel mostly for all of the other players who wanted to try and beat my score and maybe be the first person to reach around 500. Many might expect that I would be very upset with this change. I said in my Chimps record video that I thought the bug was a good thing that only affects late game anyway, so I think it should get to stay. But actually, I'm not really feeling upset. In fact, I'm excited. It might be because I just spent so much time on that project and I'm in need of a break from Chimps mode before going back and doing pretty much the same thing but with Adora. But now, playing Chimps mode late game will be different and a single game won't take as long. Now you will only need to spend like half of the amount of time on a world record game, and it's a completely different challenge again. So to me personally, I get that most of you probably feel the same way I expected to feel, but to me personally, I feel excited again. the challenge is a different one without income, so while my record will stand for the pre-temple patch record, the post-temple patch record is a different one and is now up for grabs. As for what will happen to the How Far Can You Get series, well, that remains to be seen. But now let's move on to the hero-specific bug fixes. The notable ones are that Isili's level 10 Hex ability no longer skips the final tick of damage, and Geraldo's Sharpening Stones can no longer stack, and the Blade Trap can now see camo as long as Geraldo can. And now on to the balance changes. I will go through every single one, but some of which I might just mention for a second if I don't find them too interesting, but you can always pause and read them in detail if you like to. Going from top to bottom, the Ice Monkey got some changes to its peers as well as some price changes for the tier 4 and tier 5 middle path. The Glue Gunner saw the Dissolver get the dissolvification rate fasterized. There is no way this is an actual word. This is definitely Ninja Kiwi trolling, man. The Glue Strike and Glue Storm saw some pretty big changes. You no longer need the top cross path for the ability to work on Moabs. Instead, the top path will cause the glue to affect more layers, while the bottom path will cause the glue to last longer. Also, the Glue Storm now reapplies the glue every second instead of every 2 seconds. The Submarine saw the Preemptive Strike upgrade get a cost decrease and an increase in ceramic bonus damage. The Helipilot saw the Comcom price reduced by 3k, and the Chinook got a damage buff. The Mordor Monkey got quite a few balance changes. The base tower traded some peers for more damage, and the extra peers was moved to later tiers. The tier 5 Popinah got more explosion radius and its damage lowered a lot, but the attack speed got increased a lot too. After running the numbers, it seems that this was a buff. And not a small one. The base damage remains at 3, and even with the drastic reduction to the bonus damages, it seems like the attack speed was enough to make it a lot stronger in every situation. Moving along, the Dartling Gunner saw the tier 3 middle path get a small price reduction, while the tier 4 got a small price increase instead. The Wizard got a whole bunch of changes as well. In terms of price changes, the Wall of Fire and Wizard Lord Phoenix both got a small reduction in price, while the Phoenix got a price increase, but not without a buff to go with it. If you cross-pathed with the top path, the fire from the Phoenix will now be seeking. The Wall of Fire's duration can now be increased with the top path to 100%, and there were also some minor changes to the range and shimmer effect on the bottom cross path. The Mini-Sun avatars spawned by temples no longer ignore vision blockers, increasing the need for players to use spawn manipulation by placing towers where you don't want them to spawn, which will be a bit interesting for Chimps mode late game. Another change that might be interesting for Chimps mode late game is one made to the Master Bomber Ninja. It now has a lot more damage, but crucially, the sticky attack rate is reduced by a lot, so you will now need a lot more attack speed buffs for this tower to be able to provide good stalls. Next up, the Alchemist's middle cross path saw the benefits for acidic mixture dip reduced, and then some changes to the later middle cross path upgrades that no one ever uses anyway. The Druid got some pretty interesting changes. The middle path tier 2 upgrade now causes the peers to increase by 1% for every life gained, in contrast to the bottom path that gains attack speed for every life lost. The Jungle Bounty Druid now gains 1 life per round, and the Ball of Lightning now always freezes bloons instead of 25% of the time, and the Cold Front Monkey Knowledge, instead of increasing the chance of freezing bloons, will now let the arcs from the Lightning Ball freeze bloons as well. The Spike Factory saw a reduction of attack speed to the Carpet of Spikes, but the damage to Moabs was given a very big increase. The Engineer got a reduction in price for the XXXL Trap, and the bottom cross path for the Sentry Champion got more pierce for the explosion damage of the sentries. The Beast Handler is still getting regular balance changes, as this tower is still very new. The most notable change was to the tier 2 and tier 3 middle path upgrades that got a bit of a nerf. The middle path upgrades has been very powerful for the early game in Chimps mode and needed to come down a notch, but it should still be very strong. Now onto the changes for the heroes. Gwen got some nerfs as she was very good for the early game, and Striker Jones gains a whole new ability that causes all mortars to follow your mouse cursor for 15 seconds before snapping back, and they also gain 30% bonus accuracy for this duration. Adora got nerfed in terms of attack speed and blood sacrifice cooldown time. Geraldo's Paragon totems now have an icon if you click on them that shows how many Paragon totems you have, so you no longer have to count them when going for a precise amount. Now for Paragons we have some big changes. First of all, a bug was fixed that apparently was noticed by NK and not the community that caused Paragons to have different boss bonus damage, and other bonuses didn't scale with the degree. Next, once you build a Paragon in a real game, you will be able to use them in Sandbox, and this is an awesome change that I have wanted for a long time. Very nice. Creating Paragons has also changed. You can now use the cash slider that will pop up when trying to create a Paragon. The slider number is how much extra cash you want to sacrifice, and the number below is the extra sacrifice plus the cost of the Paragon upgrade itself. The Paragon bonus boss damage multiplier for every 20 degrees was changed from 20% to 25%, and on top of this you can also get much higher degree Paragons in solo without Geraldo now. Apparently degree 91 is the max, or 92 for Apex when using 2 crossbow masters. For that you will need to have max pops and max out the cash injection. How much that will be will depend on the Paragon, and also you still need to have tower sacrifices, as it seems the tiers are still a part of the calculation. Also, a new monkey knowledge, Paragon of Power, causes a Paragon to attack faster if you don't create any tier 5s of the same tower type as is shown by this icon. By how much, it does not say, and my testing was inconsistent. It seems to be different for each Paragon. The minimum I saw was 10.7% on the Boomer Paragon, and the max I saw was a bit over 20% for the Ace Paragon, so I don't yet know exactly how it works, but it's strong. The Dart Para got a bit of a nerf, but it's also crazy cheap now, only 150k, which is going to be a lot of fun in the next boss event, I think. The Boomer Paragon got nerfed as well, but also a reduction in price. The Buccaneer got a bit of a nerf as well, but not to make it weaker, just to balance it out because everything else had made it so strong this update. The Ace Paragon's carpet ability got a 5-second longer cooldown, and the Wizard Paragon was given some big buffs. It was already being used in timed bosses for the last tier due to its metamorph ability, and now it has been given twice the amount of bonus boss damage. I think we will need to test this one against the next week's boss event as well, because this might be pretty awesome. The Ninja Paragon and the Entry Paragon got no changes whatsoever, and the final thing for us to take a look at will be the looking forward section. The new Spirit Walker hero was moved up to the next update, which should probably be out sometime in early December, and the Submarine Paragon has been moved up to next year. Here they also say that it might not be in update 41 either, because the first update of the year is usually smaller to give the developers a break. And here they also mention some work that is being done on the new boss rush mode. That's gonna be it for this update video. Make sure to join my Discord server and share your coolest map creation in the Your Creation channel, and I will see you in the next one.